Well, last month we started the Goldeneye drag project here. And I kind of skipped and forgot to talk about the patterns a little bit. So what we have is a low head and a high head pattern, two different options you can do. Some of the differences between the two are obviously one head's lower, one's higher. With the low head pattern, I got the tail elevated. With the high head pattern, the tail is dropped to the water line. The side pockets here on the Goldeneye, the breast and the side pocket is all white for the most part, or shades of white. And then I put this heavy black line in just to kind of represent feathers, but that is a black mark on the Goldeneye. On the top profile, I tried giving you some feather pattern and layout of ideas. And that dark heavy line that I drew on there is going to be your dark black line edging of the feathers that these feather groups are. So just to kind of help you visualize that when you're laying out your carving and when you get to the painting process. So tonight we'll carry on. Last month we started with the body, and tonight I'm going to work on the neck, breast area, and some carving on the head. So we'll start with finishing out the neck area and the front and the breast part. So what I've done is, what I want to do before I get too carried away is kind of get the head position figured out, which way I want it turned, how much I want it turned. And there's no right or wrong. You can turn left, turn right, go straight ahead if you want to. So there's no right or wrong in any of it. It's just all personal preference. So just pick out something that's pleasing to you. And then once I got to a point, I take my pencil, trace that on to that ledge, this flat ledge here. That way, when I carve the body, finish out this body, I don't want to go past that line, okay? So, get started with that without the head on. Start with here. Just going to take a flat gouge. You can use a gouge, you can use a rasp, a file, whatever you feel most comfortable with. This neck this part here is a continuation of the neck, which rolls into the body. Remember, cedar, you have to go with the grain, otherwise it's going to chip out on you. So on this side, you have to go in this direction. Come back this way, you'll have to come up this way. Turn your gouge there. Cut in the cape a little bit here. start to one side, try to knock this down some.
Why is the chip so hard to carve?
It's the end grain. It's difficult. You need your knives very sharp. Or you could use files or a rasp. Might be easier for you if you struggle with it.
About a Ford.
You can turn on your machine, yeah.
Or your power tools.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then you can just turn it, yeah.
Yep.
You're done.
It's a little easier
Yeah.
for us old guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, this guy gets it.
This is a lot quieter. So that's starting to shape up there. You can see that? So, even though I haven't carved this half the body, I'll kind of whack this out quick here. Back behind the neck. A little bit. So it's starting to come along pretty quickly. While the neck comes up into the head. And the breast is starting to form. Now, I'd round the rest of this off underneath here a little bit, just like I did on this side. But now, before I round, right now it's pretty blocky. You can see it's pretty blocky because it matches my head that's pretty blocky. So once I round this off, I'll fit it to the head and then finish the neck up to the head. So right now this is just a rough out stage. So on the head, very important to draw a center line down the center, all the way around. I just freehanded it, so it's pretty close. The reason I do that on the head and the body for that matter is if you like the profile of your head, draw that center line on there. Don't carve away the center line, you'll keep your profile. Only time you want to, if you don't like the profile of your head, you want to change it, that's when you take away the center line. So what I do is round to that center line. And in the end, when you're done carving it and sanding it, of course, the center line will be gone, but I'd like to leave it through the carving process, like I said, unless you do not like the profile of your head. I'm just going to put some marks on here. I drew the line at the bottom here. Just going to match this line. That's a color change. So The Goldeneye is a black head with green iridescent. The neck is white, so this is where the color change occurs. So you want to pay attention to that. And I'm going to draw the bill onto the side of the decoy or the cutout. I use this tracing paper. You can find it in rolls at, say, like Michael's or Decoy, any hobby store sells rolls of this. I use this a lot. I use this for sketching out patterns. Just roll it out and sketch patterns, and then you can draw the side profile. Then you can move it down, put another piece of paper over the top of it. You can see your side profile in there, and then you can draw your top profile right over the top of it, and you can see where all your feather groups come together. So, real nice stuff. I'm going to show you another little trick I use it for. So obviously you can draw it, see your pattern right through it. So I'm going to trace the bill, side profile of the bill on here. In the cutouts, the bills are cut out a little bigger to give you a little fudge room. So I drew on the bill. I traced on the eye. I drew this little crown here, and then a little bit underneath the head for the bill. So nice stuff about this now, the lead is on this side of the paper. So I can put that face down. So I'm gonna kind of eyeball it here. And again, this hole that's drilled in here, that's a reference point for the eye. It doesn't mean it's the dead center of the eye. If you want to use it that way, you can, but it doesn't mean it is. Your eye is somewhere in that hole. So I'm going to lay this pattern on here to where I like it. And I'm going to trace over the lead. It's hard to see right now, but the lead shows up on there, so that I can just take my pencil and just darken it. Like so. Okay. So now I'm just going to draw a reference line. Some of these heads will be longer as well, so I allowed you a little length, width, thickness for your cutout. So you can see I've got a little. I'm not talking ½ inch, ¼ inch or anything. I've allowed some. So probably 1/8 inch total. And here to get to the other side, I kind of visualize, look to see where I'm at here. It's like, well, I'm just shy the top, a little more room at the bottom. About that far off from the front, so I draw a line across there and extend that down this way. So I lay this out, hit that point, lift it up, my eyes there. I'm just going to trace this on. Now, the lead now is on the other side of the paper because I just drew it, used it to draw the other side of the head on. So again, it showed up again. See it faintly. Just pencil it in, finish off. Now I just look at it from the front to see how close I am. Close, not close. Just make adjustments. So, pretty close. Want to pass this around?
Should I have it over at your pencil?
I'll pass this around too then. Any questions on that so far?
What you mean? You know, okay, on there, Todd?
I'm good.
Okay.
So that's the layout of the side profile. Once I have that done now, you see I have some extra wood at the top, a little extra wood at the bottom. I'm just gonna take a knife and cut away some of that. You know, I told you don't carve away your pencil line earlier, but in this case, I am because I'm altering the profile on the bill. Top carved down. My pencil line is still showing top. So I cut the top off a little bit, down to the pencil line, the bottom out a little bit. I did leave this back, did cut it to the line in the back, just to leave, so that the head can come into the bottom of the bill, just to leave some wood there. So I'm concentrating on the bill from about this point forward. Does that make sense? I've erased my pencil line, so I'm going to put that back in. Center line. Okay. So generally use dividers at this point, but I forgot them. I do have these here. So now I'll measure the width of the top of the bill. So from the very top points here, I'll measure that width. Now this is a hunting decoy, so I'm not going to get down and dirty like I would if it was a decorative or I was trying to make it look as real as possible. So kind of eyeballing it here in the center with my center line in the same distance. So right now I've got a couple pencil lines running parallel to the center line. I'm going to measure. Measure this point here, the V, to the tip of the bill. And again, a divider would work a lot easier than this. So in there, I'm going to draw a line straight across like that. Okay. See that? So then I'm going to just take the and freehand in the V. So, okay. I'll take a measurement. I'm going to measure this inside V to the top of the V. So you can draw on these study bills too. So I'm going to take a measurement from that line, I don't know if you can see it, to the inside of the V. Slide to the V. So that measurement right there. So I'm going to put that there. Put it there. So now that's going to be the top of your bill, which will line up with this here. Okay. So part of this is part of the head that comes into the bill. Envision this part, so you don't want to take that out. So I'm going to take a little U-gouge, chisel this out. One thing I should mention, a lot of my decoys, I start on the bill first, because that's where you spend most of your time on the bill. If you mess that up, you don't have the whole head invested. So that's mine. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but if your bill don't turn out, it's easy to toss it and start over than to spend a lot of detail and time on the rest of the head, and then have a flub up on your bill. So just my 2 cents. So I've kind of gouged this out now. Get a tighter gouge. Any questions so far?
When you get done, can I just swap heads?
Yeah.
I really want to kiss it.
Honestly, a lot of times when I'm doing this, I'll be doing this with power. I'm just kind of showing you with hand tools so you can see it can be done with hand tools. A lot of times on my bills and my carvings, I'll whip through with power real quick. But I want to show you, it's a challenge for me too to do it this way. But I'm going to use a tighter U-gouge now. Just get in there a little tighter. This one's I'm doing here is very similar to what we did on the bodies. Remember when we started, we came to this line and came to this line and basically cut it straight down and straight in. It's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm creating the side of this head that's coming into the bill and the bill itself as it comes into the body. So I'm kind of creating that there, if you can envision that. That makes sense? Got that pretty close to where I need for a working decoy. So now, if you look at the front of the bill, you can see how it almost comes straight up. So it's almost the width of the top of your V, I'm going to call it. But it almost comes almost straight down, but not quite. It has some curvature to it. If you look at the front of the bill now and you look at where we're at here, you can see I've got a lot of wood in through here to take down. So I'm going to start slowly. I'm going to come in with this little gouge here. I'm going to put stop cut in there. So it's a stop cut and cutting on that line and straight down. Just taking out bits of wood at a time. See how it just pops out of there. If it isn't, then it's not deep enough. Work back and forth. Working side to side. And as you get more wood out off the top, you end up coming down farther. So you just extend that stop cut down farther as you go and need to. Stop and look every now and then from the top. You can see so far it's going pretty even. And then instead of a divider, this is when I start using this now for checking widths. It up a little bit. Just kind of go halfway down. It's okay to be a little bigger on these hunting decoys too. So as I put it on top, you can tell have a fair amount of wood that needs to come out of there yet. So I just keep plucking away at that. I'm close at the top, just more in the middle. closer. It's going down farther. But just keep working that down to where you need it. Once I get that part established, do you want to pass it around again quick, or
Yeah.
see it? Any questions so far?
How's power work on cedar?
Works pretty good.
Does it?
Yeah, I don't know that it grinds as good as Tupelo.
Right.
I think Tupelo grinds easier than cedar, but I think hand tools, I think cedar's easier to carve with than Tupelo. Chips out. You just have to be careful, be aware of the grain and which direction you're going in. 'Cause if you go the wrong, you'll chip it out real quick. So. Have people been working on their bodies, or are they coming along okay at home, or any questions on those so far?
Does that wood get harder with age?
I would say not. I don't think so. I don't know the answer to that for sure, but I don't think so.
I just have some old telephone blocks,
Oh, yeah,
and they're hard,
hard, could be,
really hard.
maybe. Okay. My next step I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of shape the end of the bill so you can see it's got a rounded tip. So what I do is I take that piece of paper I had, lay it down flat on the table, hold it secure, trace around it, to end up with the pattern. So that's going to give you the width at the back side of the bill, it's going to give you the width at the front, and it's going to give you that rounded look. So I'm going to put this on here. Again, the lead is down, facing down onto the wood. Centered on my center line. Trace that on here. Shows up again enough, and I'll just fill it in. So, just draw it in. So that'll give me something now to carve to. I usually leave it to the pencil line, because you gotta remember now when you're tracing this, you're actually, when you come up with your pattern, it's actually gonna be wider than the actual bill. So that's gonna give you some extra width there. But even when I'm carving it, I'll still leave the pencil line. That way, you can make any adjustments, so you don't get too thin on your bill. If you want to leave more than that, that's fine too. The bill, it's better to work slow. Now I got it. I got it rounded, okay? And the width is correct. Again, I left a little bit on the back side. Now I'm just going to kind of round it off some. Again, pay attention to the bill shape, kind of look at it. Just going to remove a bunch of wood. it's a hunting decoy. I'm not gonna put a lot of detail in. I'm just gonna kind of get the general shape. I may go back and refine some things later. So, usually the nail is lower, like that. It's a little lower there. So what I'll do is I'll take my pencil, draw that on. A little S curve. I'm just gonna run this around back, but see, kind of drew that on. It's got just a little bit of a kind of, the nail is lower, and then it kind of, so once I remove that wood out of there, it's going to make it pop, but it's still going to give you that mass and thickness, so it's not going to break off real easy, but it's still just going to give you a little bit of something extra. So I'm just going to take a little gouge. Simple as this. There. Done. Just like that. So it just adds a little bit of nail definition. And also it brings this up a little bit like it does on here. You can see it kind of comes up and the nail is lower from the side profile. Just by doing that little trick, kind of gives you that look quickly, but it still leaves enough mass in here so it's not going to break out on you if you're hunting over it. So now I want to draw in the lower mandible. Just gonna, so I drew that line in. Check it from the front, make sure I'm pretty close. Stop cut in there. This is a skew. So I'm just going to come in. The flat part up to that line that stop cut I did. Create a little separation between the upper and lower part of the bill. Kind of the general bill technique. Okay. So now I'm going to carve out the head. I'll work on one side because it's going to be the same on both. So I start with it. This is a knife, chip out, round things off. Nice part of the cutout is cut out in 3 dimensions, 3-dimensional. So you got a top, side, and a front profile. So A lot of it is just rounding off. Files, rasps, gouges, powder, knives, whatever works best for you.
Do all you guys use a variety of these gouges and all that?
Yeah, I
Pretty
think.
new to those.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do things different, which is good because the end result ends up being different. There's no right or wrong.
Oh, here you see mine.
It's truly just rounding things off, getting rid of any flat spots. Say you're not supposed to carve to your body.
Yeah, I always go that way. I can't go the other way. I'll go towards myself.
I'm a bad teacher here.
If I go the other way, it just go flies.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do it the other way, but I don't. I always go towards myself. Because I just use my wrist.
Yeah.
That's all I use.
Yeah, if you're doing this, lock your wrist. So you don't end up like me.
The chisel doesn't go all the way through them.
No.
There's a few other guys like
Just 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look-
You're a good man, you shaped it up.
I just use
So
this.
he's going
Walking
against
off.
that block with his fist, so he.
I just go like this, and I
That does it, yeah.
I don't, but I go like this, away from myself. Oh, God. I can't do that at all. Gotta go towards, got no power over either for control.
It's kind of coming in through the eye channel now, bringing it down. It's kind of a vision, kind of
All
a
in one room.
That's
Esper sort of thing.
They use the other option. It's nicer, you know, a lot of people don't feel that, so they just move more tighter together. Okay, it was fine. It was beautiful.
So it's starting to take some shape. We'll get it on the head now here. Or onto the body, sorry. So I drew this line on here earlier, so I'm going to kind of carve that in now. Holding it in. starting to see it. The back side. I'm just gonna take it off. You can see it's starting to be a round neck there instead of a kind of a square, flat thing. So it's starting to round, take shape here. The widest point is in the center here. So it's creating a circle. So when you're all done with it, it's kind of what you're going to end up with. A lot of times what I'll do is when I get to starting to this point, I'll make a mark on the front and back. On my center line and onto the body. So I know that's where I want my head to turn. So if you want more like this, make a line over here, back here. So that way if you're removing the wood on the front side, you still have your back to get it back lined up and then remark it again. So that way your head will always be where you want it, or where you intended to it. You can always alter it or change it if you want. Bringing this around. Now this is a little easier to do with the high head decoy. The low head ones are a little more challenging. A little fat yet. That's getting pretty close. So now, once I kind of got that over I am, then I'll kind of round this off. little U-gouge here. Just stab it straight down. Just pop that. Oh. Clean it up. It's getting pretty close. Gives you a pretty good idea. Send it around. Any questions at all, or?
Would you use power to smooth all this stuff out then?
By hand, just sandpaper.
You say,
Oh, yeah.
when you're pretty well happy with the general shape, then you start taking sandpaper to it?
Yeah. I never power sand just because I didn't get flat spots and everything else. With the body, I made this. I can get the pattern if anyone's interested. It's a nice big bowl sander. And I bought these belts. I'll have to figure out what dimension it is and I can let it, if anyone's interested, know. I cut this out and then I grooved it at the ends. So when I put the sandpaper on there, I got it so it fits real tight and it doesn't really spin around, but this thing works pretty good. So I mean, you can see it's taking wood off pretty quick and it goes pretty quick. These big gouges on here, takes them out pretty quick.
Do you have one of those, or do you just change the paper on it?
I'll roll it and then I can roll it and use
Or do
it.
you use different quarters?
I do have different courses too.
Yeah.
This is 120, so
Mhm.
that's a pretty good start. But I'll use this to sand the rough sanding,
Right.
then I'll go to hand sanding,
Sure.
like the 240. The bills I'll usually sand up to 400.
What about that keel that you're using on there? Did you make that, or is that?
Yeah, it's a piece of aluminum.
Did
You can buy-
do you screw it in where you were going to screw your keel in, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, show you here. So you can buy these, it's an L angle aluminum
Yeah.
at Home Depot or Menards. I think they come 3-4 feet long. I just kind of chop them off with a hacksaw or a jigsaw, whatever you want to use. And then angle them like this. So they're not square, so you're not running anything into them. And then they angle down a little bit. If you left them straight, they'd be kicking out here. So by angling it, my knife, I'm not running my knife into it or my arm.
Right.
So, and then I cut the slot into it, basically the width of these screws.
So the main bend is a 90, right?
Yeah, it's a 90. That's how you buy it.
Right, gotcha.
Thank you.
And those screw holes are where your keel's going to go in, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So you look at these, and you can use these on multiple ducks, you
Yeah.
know, or decoys that you make.
Yeah, that's good.
Like this one, for example, has, so what I did was when I glued all these, or not glued them, but the bottom boards are separate. I usually come in about 2 inches from the front, about 2 inches in from the back. And then I draw my center line down the decoy, and then that's my mark and mark. So when I got this L angle, as you can see, I've used this for other birds. Line it up with the holes, drill the holes, they drill out easy. Screw this in that holds 2 pieces of wood together. Then I carve the whole thing out. I'm ready to hollow it out, then I'll back these screws out, hollow it out, and then glue it back together. but it's nice to have your keyholes established right away.
Right.
So you don't end up with 50 different holes at the bottom of your
Right.
decoy.
Yep.
So I utilize those holes all the way through.
Sure.
So I'm establishing my keel layout before I even carve it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so
Tom, what type of shaping do you do on the back of the bird as it approaches the neck?
right in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll dish that out a little bit. I think I'll do a little bit on the tail too. And yeah, you guys want to hang on a little more?
These guys will turn around.
I'm just gonna do a quick drawing on
I made
here.
my own, I used to have
So I'm just gonna kind of pencil this sort of stuff in.
Yeah.
You use it long enough, 3 cents, nothing. You know, that's the way it kind of hold.
So I kind of quickly drew in kind of the rough
What you put in it.
layout of my scapulars, tertials, and primary feathers. If you want to add a little detail,
The metal place itself, I've seen.
take this tiger gouge, come in through the center here, up to that line. Probably can drop both sides on.
Twirls, but it doesn't.
Kind of an easy way to add a little bit of detail quickly.